year, he's going to be considered the front runner to be the first pick in the 2026 NBA draft. There will be a spotlight on BYU basketball.
This guy's being compared to LeBron James out of high school, Tracy McGrady, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It literally cannot get better.
BYU basketball at the national forefront because of what happened yesterday, signing AJ Dybantsa, the projected #1 pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Think about this reality. BYU could be staring down a top 5 pick this season and certainly and probably the #1 overall pick next season. That's the realm that BYU basketball has climbed into.
Could be.
Unbelievable. Could be as many as 3 draft picks in the first round in the next 2 years. This has never happened in the history of BYU.
Not even close. Meteoric rise.
Holy cow. All right, so let's start with this. AJ, we were just talking about how he handled himself on ESPN's First Take and in a myriad of other interviews. This is how he feels about committing to BYU and why he chose to come to Provo.
I mean, I feel good. I mean, just be publicly announced, and then, the whole Cougar Nation, I know they're excited, so I'm just ready. Happy to get on campus in a couple months and just, continue to grow. I mean, just the development side of it. I mean, it's an all-NBA staff, and my ultimate goal is to get to the NBA. And I just felt like, I was wanted there when I went there, all them chants in the football crowd, all them chants in the basketball crowd, so I just felt like I was wanted.
All NBA staff, NBA boot camp. You pointed out yesterday and tweeted out that he appreciated the fans chanting, AJ, AJ, AJ.
You wouldn't think that would have that big of an impact,
We
but
want
apparently
AJ.
it did. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He felt wanted here. He felt needed. So that's awesome, man.
We celebrated it and went hard with the celebration, as you would. But, Jarom, as you kind of push things into the future and you look at what this means for BYU basketball, how do you feel like it impacts the future of Cougar Hoops under Kevin Young?
Well, first off, having one of, if not the best player in the country is going to be amazing. I mean, we experienced that with Jimmer Fredette, where we were like, this is the best player in the country. Brigham has a chance in every game, which is exciting. You feel good about that opportunity. And certainly Jimmer was an anomaly because he was a 6'2" shooting guard that shot it from deep. AJ is a legit #1 draft choice. It's kind of a different kind of player, right? We love James Taft Fredette. AJ is a different kind of player. Increased TV exposure. I think BYU is going to have an opportunity to play at the highest levels of college basketball. That means scheduling great non-conference games. Like he said, why can't I play Duke at BYU? Is there a BYU Duke game that could be lined up? Or, hey, let's have some fun. Let's play Kentucky and Mark Pope and those guys. What games could be lined up that BYU could play in? Look at this tweet from Robbie McCombs of Vanquish the Foe. If AJ committed to BYU, there's been interest from ESPN, this is prior to yesterday, right? To schedule BYU and Duke on a neutral floor. AJ versus the Boozer twins. AJ alluded to the possibility, something to monitor. I'm keeping my eye on the Vegas Thanksgiving weekend, which is like the highest profile tourney now of a kind of NIL tournament where they dish out money to the teams and the players and whatnot. And then recruiting, the ceiling is higher than we thought. That the #1 pick in the draft potentially could want to and is coming to BYU. Like, what's not possible now in basketball? What's not possible? So it opens the
Kevin
door.
Garnett soundbite.
Right? It just opens up the future of BYU basketball to a place that I didn't think was possible, which is very exciting.
Wow. You think about just the impact of the exposure that this will put on BYU basketball, the brand, when you talk about all the tournaments and networks that want to profile the #1 recruit. Every tournament wants AJ Dybantsa. They want eyeballs. They want more advertising opportunity. They want good ratings. So they're going to come after BYU and make a significant push to get this guy and this team in the biggest of games. So, yeah, don't be surprised to see BYU show up against Duke or Mark Pope and Kentucky. You think that would be a juicy matchup for ratings?
That'd be fun.
Holy cow. Let's read another from our friend R.T. McCombs, Robbie McCombs. BYU is going to put in huge TV spots next year. Fox Basketball and TNT contracts kick in. BYU Kansas will be must-watch with AJ versus the potential #2 pick in Darren Peterson.
They just played against each other like last week, by the way.
You think the Big 12 is going to figure out a way to make BYU Kansas happen twice? Robbie thinks so.
Yeah.
He continues. BYU will schedule big non-conference games that networks will beg for. The exposure will be at an all-time high. You and I have joked in the past, Look, all BYU needs to get to the Sweet 16 is to have the National Player of the Year. It's that simple, right?
Well, did they just sign
They
them?
just signed a guy that's going to be in that conversation.
Oh my gosh, like it's amazing, and there's going to be a ton of pressure on everybody to perform well, not just AJ, but BYU to coach and get. But you want that opportunity. Like, we're in a new space for BYU Athletics, a new era where BYU's obviously in a power league, and they have a college coach, in Kalani that has won 10+ in 3 of the last 5 and proved it in the Power 4 league this year. You hope to sustain it over the next couple of years. Now you have a guy that could have taken the Nets job. He's your coach, and he's attracting top 5 talent to Provo, and it's like, what is this? This is amazing. You're continuing to win at the Olympic sports level at a high level, national championships in cross country, women's volleyball and women's soccer. I know had down years. They both made the tourneys. Come on, there are other schools that would beg for that. It's awesome, man. Things are great, and I'm interested to see what this means for next year. We're also looking at like the recruiting rankings for next year, and where we've always thought, in football, let's get to top 40, and then look at what basketball's doing. Basketball's 11 with AJ and Xavier Stanton and Chamberlain Burgess for next year. 11, dude. And then you look at rivals, it's 6. What? When have we ever seen this in almost any sport, right? It's amazing.
BYU has around them. They're in the top 6 with Duke, Houston, Kentucky, UConn, Arkansas. They're in front of Kansas, according to rivals.
That's another win over Kansas.
Alabama.
You thought last year was good.
This is just, it's an alternate reality, but it has come to fruition.
Yes, it is happening. And when BYU signs AJ, we talked about some of the comps here. Listen to this from ESPN's Paul Biancardi, who's a recruiting specialist. AJ exhibits the athletic ability of LeBron James and Tracy McGrady out of high school. If eligible, he would be the favorite to be the number 1 pick in this upcoming draft. Like, you could not say a more flattering thing about a player. So AJ is super legit. He's not just the number 1 guy. He is a generational number 1, according to many people. So this is huge, which, by the way, Robbie McCombs had a good article on Vanquish about kind of behind the scenes in the process here. There were people from the previous staff, Colin Terry notably, Nate Austin, who was kept over, who worked to help with AJ even though they were probably on their way out. So hats off to them for the efforts that they made. So some GAs as well. Like, everyone helped out with this to contribute and entice, and ultimately AJ makes his own decision, right? And he and his family, they want to come to BYU. Shout out to the people who got him to Utah Prep. The proximity of being in Utah and sort of being able to visit campus and seeing the influence of Cougar fans in the state, I think helped too. Danny Ainge being from an alum and a Celtics guy, he's from Boston. Like, there was influence there. Just it all works out. I do love the confidence of AJ as well, saying, "Oh yeah, which NBA team would you want to play for? Which systems?" I think was the question, and he said, "Spurs and Magic." Like, he knew right away.
He knows.
Feels like he has his head on straight, and he knows what he wants, and that he understands that this is the path for him. It is interesting to see how much sort of flack outsiders are saying, well, it's just a money game. No, let's repeat what we said yesterday. There were other offers that were more. It wasn't straight cash, homie. It was the development of BYU combined with a competitive NIL and a coaching staff that is going to develop you. It's an NBA program.
It's the complete package.
It's an NBA program. And, oh, by the way, BYU's in the mix for the number 1 guy in the country now. Like, this is just nirvana for BYU fans, man.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Kevin Young, in, technically speaking, less than 8 months,
right,
has brought in 5 of BYU's top 10 highest recruits in the modern era ever. 5 of the top 10.
It's amazing.
In less than 8 months.
2 of those guys are coming off the bench right now for BYU. That's how much depth there is on the squad. In Brody Kozlowski and Elijah Crawford.
I just love that Kevin was outspoken about it in his introductory press conference. Yeah. But this is to show you, and we mentioned this, he does not mince words. He doesn't speak a lot of fluff. He feels strongly about things, so that's what he speaks when it's on his mind, and it often happens. This is why all of the guys in the NBA, notably Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, they all talk about
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. We just like him because he's straightforward and he speaks the truth.
And he has a calm demeanor. That was something that Robbie McCombs highlighted that AJ liked. That Kevin is he's a very chill dude. If you watch the coach's show or interviews, doesn't get too high, too low. He's very chill.
Wow.
Yeah.
5 of the top 10 recruits in the modern era in the last 8 months.
And I don't want to bury the fact that Xavier Stanton was the #1 highest rated recruit before AJ yesterday.
Yeah,
and he's in this class for next year.
We're throwing in Yegor. Yegor would be number 2.
Right. Yegor would be number 2. They don't do international players unless they played high school in the States in the same sort of recruiting way. Yegor became a de facto 5-star later. But you talk about Yegor and AJ. Here's the thought. Is there any, and you brought it up, is there any way Yegor stays another year? I don't think it's impossible. I just don't think it's likely.
Yeah, it doesn't feel likely.
Right.
But everything is on the table now because of the power of AJ and the thought of what BYU could be.
I can't even go there mentally. I cannot. I'm sorry. If both of them were on the team, we're legitimately talking about like, dude, Elite 8, Final Four, what are we talking about here? With AJ, he said, I want to win the Natty.
Straight up.
BYU's not a place that has
it.
won in the NCAA tournament recently. So those are aggressive goals, which I like. But it's AJ and a host of talent around him. Why not?
And that's not to say that BYU doesn't have to handle the pressure.
Sure.
To go back to a conversation we were having earlier, BYU's got to step up and play good basketball.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
To be good. Yeah.
And it's not a guarantee that if you have the #1 overall rated recruit signed with your program that you're just automatically going to get to a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8.
Ben Simmons with LSU. I know Ben Simmons is polarizing. But like at LSU is the clear #1 player in the country. And they didn't even make the tournament.
They didn't make the tournament. They're in fact, in the last...
That's not this situation with it.
We had some people sending us messages this morning pointing out that in the last 10 or 11 years of #1 picks, even maybe further beyond that, there have been, I think, 3 in at least 13 or 14 years, 3 #1 overall picks that their teams didn't, #1 overall recruits that their teams didn't make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so nothing is automatic. You've got to go out and do it. But what has Kevin Young shown? He's going to surround that guy, in this case it's Yegor and Cannon, with a bunch of talent. And it's a good team dynamic. Kevin understands. He's been to an NBA Finals with the Suns in 21. He understands, what do we need? We need big stars, but we need great complementary pieces around them. That's what the Suns had to get to the Finals.
I can't wait to watch the spotlight on BYU grow and just see the wild exposure this creates for the university, for the program, with AJ as the focal point of this in 2026. In 2025, 2026. It's gonna be incredible.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be incredible. Our
awesome.
question of the day. How do you think the signing of AJ Dybantsa will impact BYU basketball?
And that's the pronunciation with it.
We went over this yesterday.
Dybantsa.
Yes.
The T is silent.
Dybantsa.
Dybantsa.
Okay?
Yep.
Educate yourselves.
Now you
it
know.
matters.
Now you know.
It's not Dybantsa. It's or Dybazania. It's Dybantsa. Okay. At McGarry15 on X says, expectations are crazy high now. I think fans will be somewhat patient with winning this season, but with the caliber of player coming in with Coach Young, fans will want to see tournament success.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Young players sometimes need more time than fans are willing to give.
That's well, welcome to the new era of BYU basketball where there's going to be one and dones.
If this was the Kobe era, AJ would be in the NBA draft.
He wouldn't have come to college.
And he probably would go #1 overall. This year.
This year. Yeah.
Different era.
Different era. Well, and NIL era enabled the opportunity for BYU to even be in the mix.
Yes.
Without it, BYU's probably not even in the mix.
Thank you, Kevin Young, and thank you, New Era.
That combo.
College basketball and NIL.
New era, not to be confused with your favorite magazine.
Hashtag BYUSN on X, Facebook, and Instagram to join that conversation and answer our question of the day.